On the News Channel 5 network, this is OpenLine.
Good evening and welcome to Ask the Attorney. I'm your host, Amy Rao Mohan. Excited to be here today with Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm.
Nice to see you as always,
Amy.
Nice
to see you
it's
too.
A pleasure.
And Ask the Attorney is a great show and great opportunity for people to be able to call in and get legal advice for both attorneys. You've had more than 30 years of experience,
Yep,
and so
that's
can
true.
answer really any kind of question people have, whether it's civil or criminal, family law, bankruptcy. We
We'll make a great stab at it.
Yeah.
And you know, the truth is you need to know a little bit of law to function through this life, because you know everybody is confronted with legal issues in the family, your children, your grandchildren. So you know, I encourage you to take some notes. If you learned something was really good, knowledge is power, and just a little bit goes a long ways.
And that's always interesting about this show. I always learn something from here, and sometimes people are, you know, watching for some other reason, and then they learn something else about a different area of the law.
You know, that's why they call it the practice of law, because, you know, every day the law changes. When men's ideas and values change, the law changes. And then we learn theories in the law, and we can almost interpret any kind of fact situation. Is this legal or illegal? And then you have to go to some specific statutes to say, there's a little difference. And remember, we always say there's an exception to the exception to the exception.
Yep. Well, we want people to call in on that line. It'll be at the bottom of your screen, 737+ 737-7587. And Ask the Attorney is on every third Thursday of the month. I was to make sure I say that correctly. And of course, you can watch us online at OpenLine as well.
Right.
So, Kevin, tell us a little bit before people start calling in about your practice and sort of what you've done over these last 30 years.
Yeah, it's now 32 years, in excess of 32 years. And of course, I have a general practice. It's a full service law firm, the Kennedy Law Firm there in Clarksville. We have 3 locations. And we do personal injury, lots of personal injuries. We do wrongful deaths, a lot of criminal cases, both in state and federal court. Lots of divorces. You know, one of my offices is just outside the Fort Campbell Army Base. And during the Persian Gulf War in 1990, I actually did more divorces than any lawyer in the nation, and did the Oprah Winfrey Show. I was interviewed by CNN, the New York Times, and the Washington Post. So if somebody said, well, do you know anything about divorces? I'd say, well, yeah. And you know, in 2008, I published my second book, and it was Divorce Through the Eyes of a Christian Lawyer. And so, yeah, I feel very comfortable about anything with child custody and things of that nature, because we've handled lots of really big ones. And then, you know, a host of everything. We do bankruptcy there, probate and estate. And so any kind of problem that someone has, you know, feel free to call us and we can talk about real estate, a host of things. But lawyers are learning all the time. You and I have learned from each other. You say, well, Kevin, you're older than Amy. It's not the age.
Nobody said that.
It's the information. And so that's why I love to learn. I love to share. One of the worst things in the world for you to have a lot of good things that could help me, and then you held it and you didn't share it.
Yeah.
And you could have avoided me a lot of pain, grief, worry. Can I get an amen when you say that?
Amen. And this is a really great show. I was here at Channel 5 as a reporter before law school, and this was always a show where people always called in and got a wealth of knowledge when they called.
Absolutely. And even now, you know, I'm the head of a law firm. I still own several other businesses, a residential rental business. But when I have a challenge, I back up to and I say, hey, Amy, let me run this back. And you may hit one little area. Hello, come in. And I also come back and say, you know, I'll think about it today. We'll talk about it tomorrow. And so much of the time, the correct answer didn't come to me in the first sitting.
All right.
And so we learn.
Well, let's start taking some of those calls. And again, keep calling that line at the bottom of your screen, 615-737+ 737-7587. We've got Ryan here. Hi, Ryan.
Hey, did you say you're a lawyer too, Amy?
I am.
Yes.
I went to law school after my Channel 5 days, and I practice here in Nashville at Sherrard Rowe, Voight & Harbison, and mostly do civil and business litigation, but some media stuff too.
And you still work for Channel 5, obviously, right?
Just once a month here. with Kevin.
Well, listen, I wanted to know. You said he's been doing it 32 years. He don't look that old.
Thank you. You get two questions.
Where did you go to law school? And because I went to University of Illinois, and I don't know if you know Mark Spriggs or not.
Yes.
He's my buddy. He's handled a couple things for me, and I know University of Illinois has a pretty good law school. What's the best law school in the state of Tennessee besides Vanderbilt?
University of Tennessee. That's where I went.
I do. You know, in my career, I've hired lawyers. I've hired 110 lawyers in my career. That's a statement in itself. But I've hired lawyers from Vanderbilt, and boy, they're academic genius. It's hard to beat a Vanderbilt man with a brief. They'll brief you to death. UT, I think they're wonderful and great. Memphis, I like to call them sometimes the street lawyers. They're smart.
She said UT Knoxville's the best.
I know.
She likes UT Knoxville.
Right?
And then, of course, mine, I went to the Nashville School of Law. And
What happened to that place? I heard it shut down.
No, we're still rolling. In fact, I went to the banquet, and they've got judges and DAs and different ones in all counties across the state.
In the early 2000s, late 90s?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Didn't they shut down for a couple years in the late 90s, early 2000s?
No, they never shut. There was a move.
They were the YMCA.
Yeah, that was a Nashville School of Law was previously the Nashville YMCA Night Law School, and so there was an attempt, but of course they survived that, and I'm glad they did. They're over 105 years old now.
And now Justice Cope from the Supreme Court.
The YMCA Law School became you guys the Nashville School of Law?
Yes.
And that's just for regular working Joes who aren't rich, you want to go, that maybe don't have rich parents and want to be lawyers, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's
but
cool.
you know,
That's where you were, right?
I'll tell you again, you know, like in my hometown, you know, we've got judges from Nashville School of Law, the Circuit Court, and our DA, John Carney, he went to school with me, and he was head of the TBI before he became our DA. But, you know, the quality education there, I got to rate it high. I'm very, you know, I don't know how to say it any more than I rank them high. Excellent.
Well, we've got a lot of great law schools here. Ryan, do you have a question for us?
Yeah, I'd like to know, I called them earlier about that property in Florida. You probably remember my voice. And then I had to kick that lady out when I inherited it from my dad. It's not much. It's like an inland waterway. It's got tuna mosquitoes. It's not even on the ocean. It's like one of those little things and stuff. It's a few acres. I got to kick her out, and then I have to, I don't know, I have to do some paperwork. It's mine. But I have to make sure that I get those people out of there and put no trespassing signs. I think you told me that twice. And then you told me to get insurance on the property, too.
Yep, I sure did.
I do not have.
Yeah, well, it's not a big problem. It's easy to do. I recommend that you do it. You don't want anyone to fall in a hole that you don't even know is there, and then they turn around and sue you, and you created a nuisance or attractive nuisance of a child. So just have a little liability, put your posters up, and rock on.
Hey, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we've got Jay here. Hi, Jay.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
Mr. Kinsey, I always enjoy it when you're on. I always enjoy law shows, etc.
Thank you.
But I got a question. Last week, I was in my company truck, and I got hit by a guy with another company. Come to find out he didn't have any driver's license, and come to find out he'd been smoking marijuana.
Okay.
Dad, what do I need to do? I know I wasn't hurt in the accident. I was in my company truck, but I know our company does have big lawyers, and I did talk to them and give them my testimony. I just wonder if there's anything else I'll have to go through, and I'll hang up and listen. Thanks.
Okay. Well, basically, if you didn't sustain a personal injury, then pretty much, you know, you're on the job. If you'd gotten hurt, it would have fallen under workers' comp because of your company. Now, your company has liability insurance, and you're right, your company has lawyers, and so does the insurance company. So really, you don't want to get into anything. Just always tell the truth and let them handle it, the law. If this guy had been smoking marijuana, they should have charged him with driving under the influence. And of course, you're not in control of that. You can just assist the police, and it's the state of Tennessee's burden to prosecute that.
All right.
Phones are lit up. Go ahead, Amy.
They are. Bobby's on line 3. Hi, Bobby.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Great.
How can we help you today?
Okay, I have a question. It's a malpractice question.
All right.
In 2012, I was supposed to have a simple same-day operation. My spine was cut. I have been through 14 operations since. I'm solid steel from my pelvis to my skull, and I'm headed for a wheelchair. I have lost everything I've worked my life to get because of this. And it was a local doctor here. I talked to every attorney in Nashville about this case. Yeah, I'll say it's a conflict of interest because he testifies for so many insurance companies. What do I need to do? I am so deep in debt from medical bills now.
Yes.
Like I said, I've lost everything I've worked my life for. Wife walked out on me, everything. Everything's gone.
Okay, well,
Bobby,
first off, we are very sorry to hear that, and that's a tragic story. You know, if you went to lawyers in Nashville and they didn't feel like they could represent you, then I'm telling you that I would pursue going to Memphis, or I'd pursue Knoxville. You can start with calling the Tennessee Bar Association. They have a referral system that handles medical malpractice. Get those numbers, call their offices, and see what they say. You know, I'm still very sensitive to that statute of limitations.
Yeah, that's what I worry about, that surgery
But you need to talk to the lawyers about your specific case and see that if you could still fit within a statute of limitations. Tennessee, it's 1 year, and of course, if a doctor tried to cover up the malpractice and led you for a period of time and you didn't discover it, then you still have a chance to try to pursue it. But if you knew it and the 1 year goes by and you didn't file a claim, realistically, your claim is barred.
That's right. All right, Renee is here. Hi, Renee.
Hi, hello.
Hello.
I have a question. At one point in time, does a parent have to appeal her case for her parental rights being terminated by DCS?
Okay. Well, first off, if DCS moved to terminate the parental rights, when that became a final order, you've got 30 days in which to file your appeal. If you don't, then the courts could come back and say res judicata, which means the matter is already settled. Now, if you could show that there was some fraud, a breach of due process, if there were some kind of extenuating circumstances that you might could fit within one of those rules, then it might be reopened for that.
All right, well, hopefully it's in that 30 days, and we're still taking more questions, so please call that number at the bottom of your screen, 615-737-7587, and we'll be back with Kevin Kennedy after this.